undeveloped personality, an insult or a reality?
The second paragraph of Article 26 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights demands an education directed towards the full development of the human personality. The same requirement is repeated in 2 conventions, including the Convention on the Rights of the Child. These 2 conventions have been signed by most states and then incorporated into their national laws. Therefore, providing an education directed towards the full development of the human personality is a legal obligation, and the failure of any state to implement it can be regarded as a breach of the law. How such education can lead to the full development of the human personality is a subject I have addressed in other writings, including my explanation of Article 26. The link to which I will provide in the description. If the required education, which I call wise education, is not implemented by the education system, the full development of the human personality becomes, if not impossible, then certainly extremely difficult and time-consuming. Few individuals will have the opportunity to achieve such development on their own and equip themselves with developed morality. A historical example of such an exception is Cyrus the Great, who issued the first known Charter of Human Rights. Such individuals are exceptions and cannot alter the conclusion that the absence of wise education leads to an undeveloped human personality. It is not difficult to show that most people were deprived of wise education during their years of schooling. Article 26 identifies the maintenance of peace as the ultimate outcome of such education. If most people had received such an education, we would not be witnessing so many violations of human rights and so much injustice. What makes the situation even more dangerous for humanity is that some of these same individuals with undeveloped personalities gain political and administrative power and occupy positions for which the full development of the human personality should be a prerequisite. 3 of the most important outcomes of wise education are the following. First, seeing realities as they are, so that they can be transformed into truth. Second, developing critical thinking. Recognizing different cognitive biases in oneself and avoiding them. Recognizing different logical fallacies and avoiding both their use and falling into their traps. In this regard, you can find the link to the video's thought traps in the description. Third, having clear moral principles and following them is necessary both for moral behavior and for drafting true laws. Remember that many thinkers have considered morality to be the origin of law, because justice is the foundation of morality. When you remove morality from law, you remove justice from it. Consequently, what remains of law is merely an unjust order. Regarding the relationship between morality and law, I will provide the link to the article, Why Must Morality Be the Origin of Law in Human Society, in the description. If someone claims to have received wise education, their claim can be put to a simple test. It is enough to ask them what morality means and request that they declare their moral values. For example, I claim that I have received wise education. You only need to refer to the link about morality in the UDHR in the description to see both my definition of morality and the moral values in which I believe. If I tell a politician that they suffer from an undeveloped personality, it would be better for them to prove me wrong rather than becoming angry and attacking me. They only need to prove that they have a fully developed personality by explaining what morality means and declaring their moral codes. Therefore, stating that the world's politicians, from the Secretary General of the United Nations to local politicians in different countries, suffer from an undeveloped personality is not an insult, it is the statement of a reality. This bitter reality jeopardizes the peace and security of each and every one of us. Instead of taking offense at the term undeveloped personality, politicians would do better to accept this reality and strive to develop their personality with the guidance of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Receptiveness to criticism, whether through self-criticism or by accepting the criticism of others, is a characteristic of a fully developed personality. I have gone through this process. You only need to look at my writings, including a Sui-criticus, the link is in the description. Will politicians who entered politics with an undeveloped personality, rather than becoming angry at this term and thinking of taking revenge against me, admit that they made a mistake and bear responsibility for so many of the world's crises? What do you think their reaction will be?